Welcome to the Southwest Florida Online News Podcast, hosted by Angelina Asante.
Hi, this is Angelina Asante. Welcome to this episode of Southwest Florida Online News. Today, my guest is the owner of Jason's Elderberry Syrup, Jason Bruns. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. So this is very intriguing to me because we've been Facebook friends for a long time. I count on you for funny bits. When I'm sad, I scroll through Facebook for Jason's page because I know he's always going to say something funny for me. But you posted something last week and I contacted you and said, hey, what's going on? You own this company and I didn't even have any idea. So please tell us how you got started with this.
Back in probably April 2017, we were buying elderberry syrup online on Amazon. It's like what everyone else does. And a little tiny, 8-ounce bottle was like, at the time, was like $20. Actually 4-ounce bottles were like $20. And it tasted terrible. We, studied the benefits of it and, there's great health benefits. Problem was everything we bought on Amazon was terrible tasting. Kids wouldn't take it. I'll tell the kids, hey, this is good for you. They'll try it. Then I'm sitting there forcing it down their throats. They're like, I'm trying. I'm like, this is terrible. Like, there's got to be a better way. So it was expensive. It tasted horrible. So went online and started doing some research, followed some different recipes, tried some, didn't like the way it turned out, tweaked some, kind of made it what's going to work. So it started out just, doing it making it for ourselves. And then we had friends, you have kids, they hang out with other kids their age. You always have those kids that are always sick.
Right.
Every time you turn around, the mom and dad are always saying, oh my gosh, Billy's sick again. And then they want to hang out and the kids play with kids. Then your kids get sick. So it was one of those where we're like, oh, he's got a cold again. He's all snotty. I'm like, here, try this. They're like, well, what's this? This elderberry syrup, what does it do? It kind of explain, what it does. And then they tried it, week and a half goes by. They're like, you know what? That stuff really works. He's not sick anymore. Like every time he goes to school, he's fine. Comes back 3 years later, he's sick. He misses school, goes back, sick again. And then another son gets sick. So it's just an ongoing, cycle of sickness in our house. So it started out with just, us taking it, giving it to a few friends. And then it started with like, hey, you're onto something here. Maybe you should try this out, make it, as far as, and it became kind of like a side business, going to like local farmers markets, different events going on, fall festivals, stuff like that, selling it. It started doing really, really well. And then I got approached by some other stores to say, hey, we'd really love to carry your product. Well, at that time, I wasn't set up to be able to have it in the stores. That was like, I wasn't even thinking about doing that. So, I said, well, what do I got to do to do this? So I started looking online, what do I have to do, incorporated LLC, got with the right powers as far as with the state, for inspections, got with a local kitchen, was able to rent out space, and I was able to commercially make it. So started a few stores, and now a few stores have started into 12 different stores now.
Wow, you're actually in the store I shop at here in town in Fort Myers. So when I went on your website, I was like, wow, I that's really crazy because there's a lot. The reason why I shop there is because it's a locally owned store and they promote locally owned businesses. And a lot of the stuff that I buy, even fruits and vegetables, but a lot of like the stuff you would normally buy from a large family, from these big corporations are, businesses like yours. So you're based out of the St. Pete area. And now let me ask you a little bit about Elderberry because you piqued my interest when you said 2017, because I'm thinking 2020 is when I started buying Elderberry because I was like, something bad's happening. Now, did you notice a huge surge in 2020? How did that affect you guys?
Yeah, it was really busy. Because it's funny. I also sell it to people, online on a website, in stores, and I had quite a following. Just from being out in the different farmers markets, people knew who I was. So then when I switched it over, letting, hey, you can go to this store now has it. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, great. I should get to it faster. So when the pandemic hit, everyone's worried about, hey, the first thing it affects is, cold, flu, the virus, people then know, do I have a regular cold? Do I have, COVID-19? What's going on? I need something to boost my immune system. That's the first thing everyone's looking at. What can I take to boost my immune system? Just to keep if I get COVID-19 or I get the flu, what's going to make it so it's just less toll on my body. I can get over it in a faster period. Well, that's where elderberry syrup does. They've done clinical research, for many, many years, the effects of it. It'll cut the duration of cold and flu in half, without taking anything else.
Wow.
So, I've got people that take it as far as on a daily basis just to keep their immune system boosted. Then I have people that take it, I tell them as soon as you wake up, you get a scratchy throat. You're like, hey, I'm not sure if this is cold. I'm not sure if this is my allergies. Kind of wake up kind of congested. I tell you, well, as soon as you feel like you're coming out with something, start taking it. Nip it in the bud before it turns into a full-blown cold or a sinus infection or flu or whatever you're coming down with.
Well, the other thing I noticed on your website was, and you said your batches are not like the thick, like clumpy, I don't want to say, but like when you're drinking regular elderberry, you were saying your kids didn't want to drink it because of the taste, but also your consistency, I understand, is very different too.
Yes, it is. I've tried a lot of other elderberry syrups, the stuff that's made by, homemade stuff in the stores, kind of see what they put in there. I wanted to put a product out that is going to be safe. There's no preservatives. There's nothing in there. People say, what happens, if I take too much? So the only thing that would happen if you took too much is you'd probably have a tummy ache and you might have diarrhea.
So Jason, we talked about the consistency. Would you mind telling us what the ingredients are?
Yeah, I use all organic ingredients. My elderberries come from Europe. The elderberries you get from Florida, United States, are a different type of elderberry than you get over in Europe. They've been using elderberries in Europe for thousands of years. It just recently became something here. Like, they grow wild in Florida. A lot of people don't even realize that. They used to grow up and down in the 70s and 80s down the side of the highway on I-75. And my all come from Europe. Czechoslovakia, Poland is where the majority of them are harvested. But I use local raw honey, cinnamon, ginger, clove, and reverse osmosis water. And I wanted to put a product together that had no additives, no preservatives, something that you can take and you don't have to worry about, okay, I always say, pick up a bottle of anything, any package of anything, and you can't pronounce it. Mm-hmm. Is that something you really want to have in your body? So I wanted to put an ingredient list together because I've seen some of them, there's a bunch of additives, preservatives that you don't need it. I honestly don't need it. They put it in there because it might keep more shelf stable. Unlike a lot of them, mine has to be refrigerated. There is an expiration date, but you don't have to worry about, is this going to kill me? Is this going to be okay, you take the good with the bad. There's nothing bad in my product that's going to do harmful stuff to you.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. But yeah, like you're saying, some of the stuff my friend put on Facebook, they're like, oh, this is an ingredient I'm seeing. It turned out it was like cricket powder. Like, they're putting it under all these names instead of being with what it is. So God only knows what's in half the stuff we're taking now anyway. All right, well, I'm going to pick some up. I definitely want to try this and compare it to the sappy stuff I have in my cabinet right now that does not taste.
Yeah, well, I've had other, some of the stores I have, they have other brands. A lot of them aren't. There are a lot of them that they carry are national brands. And the one of the stores I have it in, Detwiler's, they said it outsells all the other products 5-1.
Wow.
My product does, because of the flavor. People like the flavor. They like local. They like that they can pronounce every ingredient. They know what every ingredient does. So, I mean, people like it. I've got quite a following now, and people are very loyal to it. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, keep cranking out a good product because people love it. And I don't want to ever change it. People said, well, why don't you change it to make it shelf stable? And we don't have to worry about it, And I'm like, no, I'm going to keep it the way it is. I'm not going to add anything to it to keep it like that because I don't want to put additives or preservatives into it. Because of the raw honey, it'll last a long time. I mean, you can get it. I've had stuff last over 7 months. If I was refrigerated, it'll be fine. I tell people they freak out. Oh my gosh, I forgot it in the car. I'm like, it's not like a gallon of milk. It's not going to spoil. It'll be just fine. It'll taste just fine. So I'm able to ship it all over the country because of that. You can have it unrefrigerated. People get it. Tell them as soon as they get it, just pop it in your fridge. It'll be just fine. I mean, I've shipped to Syria. I've shipped to Germany, Puerto Rico.
Wow.
I've shipped all over the world.
Well, and I'm guessing with the organic honey, that probably with the local honey here for Floridians, it probably helps with allergies too.
It does. Not only does the honey help with allergies, people don't realize the benefits of raw honey. Because, a lot of stuff you buy in the stores isn't raw. People don't realize if it's heated over 110 degrees, it's no longer considered raw honey. So a lot of the good properties you're getting from honey are now destroyed once you heat it up.
Well, and I read an article recently that a lot of the things that are being called honey are like synthesized and they're coming from like Asia. So people think that they're getting healthy stuff and they're not actually getting anything but health benefits.
No, you'll see honey in stores where it says local honey. Then you look at the label, it's from Brazil. Mixed with Brazil or from different countries. Majority, there's a huge black market for honey.
What?
Huge black market. Yeah, it's $1 billion market.
Oh my God,
honey.
Ethan, Miami Vice needs to come back on and have them Crockett and Tubbs busting honey dealers or something.
Yeah, people don't realize how big the market is for. You just Google black market for honey, you'll read article after article after. It's a $1 billion business.
Why? Because bees are dying. Is that why? There's
people make it, and they make it. Because they can make it super super cheap. And then they turn it off and sell it like it's a raw honey or just regular honey. Because honey's expensive. It's super expensive. If you go to a store, you can buy a half gallon of honey or, a little 16-ounce bottle. You look at the prices for raw honey, you're like,
right.
No, it's not cheap at all. So yeah, the market for honey is very, very expensive. And there's probably over half of what you see in the stores is probably stuff that's not real honey.
Wow. I know that, I've heard that about olive oil, they're tinkering with the olive oil too.
Yes. Yeah. You have to look at the sources where it's coming from. Let's say if you get honey, always try to get it from a local beekeeper. Don't buy your stuff at Costco. Don't buy it unless you the beekeeper, you personally talk to them. Oh yeah, that guy's down the road. That's where you want to get your honey from. I use a local person here. He's got hives all over Manatee County. He's been doing it for 35 plus years. And I know where my sources come from. I've been there when he's extracted the honey from the hives, so I know exactly the source and a lot of them can't say that. Because in my process of first making elderberry, I said, hey, where can I buy large quantities of it? And I even talked to some people that said, hey, don't buy it from this place. You never know where those bees are, where they put the bees on at, because that's another thing. I don't care who they are. There's no such thing as organic honey.
Oh.
You can get raw honey, but unless how do you predict where a bee's going to land to pollinate? You can't. They could travel up to 5 miles. So if you have bees in the middle of a field, let's say you own 20 acres, you have beehives there. Well, your neighbor has flowers that he sprays because he wants to keep so they last longer, and they pollinate those flowers. Well, guess what? Now you can't consider that organic because you can't control bees.
Oh.
They're going to pollinate whatever flowers are going to pollinate. Whether it's in a back field, whether it's flowers whether it's flowers, it's a bush with flower, whatever the case is. But for someone to call anything organic, honestly, you cannot control. You can't control where bees are going to land and what they're going to pollinate. So, I mean, unless you own 1,000 acres and the bees are right in the middle of it, you can't control that. They'll fly up to 5 miles, to pollinate.
I haven't thought about any of this stuff before.
Yeah. Well, the old saying, busy as a bee.
Yeah.
Most bees, their lifespan, they make 1 teaspoon of honey before they die.
Wow.
That's it. That is it. 1 teaspoon of honey. So a lot of times they last up to 40 days. So their lifespan for 40 days, they make 1 teaspoon of honey. And they visit thousands of whether it's flowers, just things that they could pollinate before they die in their life cycle.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. This has been very educational for me. I didn't know any of this stuff. I'm very intrigued about the black market for honey. It sounds like a terrible movie. I'd love to make it.
If you go to Google, you'll go on a rabbit hole. You'll be like, I did not know, and you'll start seeing all these articles coming over in ships. Just 50-gallon drums of black market honey, and then they pawn it off, they relabel it, and they sell it in stores. Oh,
that really sounds awful. And yeah, anything like the image of you saying big box honey, like in my head, pushing your big cart up for that does not sound appealing to me at all.
No.
All right. Well, I just want to wrap up this segment with you telling us how people can get your elderberry.
Yes. So down in the Cape Coral, Farmer Joe's, they've been carrying for a little while now. They absolutely love it.
That's my favorite store. That's where I shop.
Yeah. So they've gotten great feedback from the customers. They place big orders. She's like, we used to have one, I think, a company down in Naples, but she kind of sold off her business. And she's like, we sell a lot of your elderberry syrup because they give out free samples.
Nice.
If you want to go there and say, hey, I want to try before I buy, they give you a free sample. You just ask for it. Detwiler's, which is in Manatee County and Sarasota County. They've got stores in Bradenton, Palmetto, Venice, Sarasota, so many locations. Then I've got some farmers markets that I have people that have permanent, booths. They carry it there. I've got bulk food store in Ellington. They carry it as well. But yeah, I mean, I've thought about going on Amazon. I've already did all the paperwork to sell on Amazon, but I'm going to try to stay local. There's more stores. I'll probably expect a little bit more. Yeah, definitely look at the location where it's coming from. You want to make sure it's local. The best honey, especially for allergies, you want a honey to be within 5 miles of where you live. Because of the bees, the pollen that the bees are going after. Let's say you are, this time of year pollen's coming out full force. So whatever they're pollinating, that's what you want the bees. That little bit of pollen you get into your diet, taking the raw honey, it'll build up over time. So you get a tolerance to the pollen, whether it's hay fever, whether it's the oaks, whatever the case is, you'll build up a little bit from that. It might take 2-3 months, but like I tell people, if you're consistent with taking like a tablespoon of honey a day, it'll definitely work wonders.
Wow. Well, that's a good tip for us too. So thank you for that. Well, good luck to you, Jason. And thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us, and good luck. And I'll be looking for you Monday on Farmer Joe's when I go to pick up my supplies on Monday. I'm going to bottle and I'll let you know how it is.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, this is Angelina signing off with Jason Bruns. Make sure you check out Jason's Elderberry.
This is Angelina Asante with this episode of Southwest Florida Online News.